So, the 2024 NFL regular season is in the books. We know what the 2025 draft order is going to look like. Let's do our first mock draft now that we know the finalized top 18 picks of the draft. So what is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? I'm excited for this, man. So there was a wild ending to basically week 18 in the NFL season. The Pats had a chance at the number one pick. They just needed to lose to Buffalo, and then Joe Milton goes out and he balls out. Some teams won, some teams lost. And yeah, the Tennessee Titans, they lost, and they are here with the number one overall pick. Still TBD if they're going to fire Brian Callahan. I'm recording this late on Sunday night. Maybe there's a chance they end up doing that. But I think either way, they're going to start off the draft and draft a quarterback. Now, I think, yeah, they want to get somebody, and I think that somebody's going to be Cam Ward. I think there's a lot of variance with Shedeur Sanders, and I don't know if Dion was actually being true, that he said it could be another Eli Manning situation, and if he doesn't like that situation for sure or to go to, he may opt out of that, and they may not want to go there either way. I don't think Shedeur was ever going to go number one. I know this isn't the greatest. It might be one of the weakest quarterback classes ever in terms of depth. Like, I feel like there's not many guys out there. Do you want to take a chance on Jackson Dart? Is Will Howard going to go into the draft? We'll see with his Ohio State run. But I think Cam Ward was good enough. And I think at times, like, he's a reckless quarterback, but I think he reminds me of, like, Ben Roethlisberger at Miami of Ohio. Somebody that can make big-time plays, is going to make some risky ones, but I think can orchestrate a high-powered offense, kind of like what Callahan had with Joe Burrow in Cincy. Is Cam Ward as good of a prospect as Joe Burrow was? No, not even close. But I do think Cam Ward is the only guy I would feel comfortable drafting this high at the quarterback position. I have a lot of questions. I have a lot of skepticism about Shedeur Sanders this high, but I think Tennessee would take a QB with the 101. And yeah, I'm going to have them go Cam Ward there. And let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think that Cam Ward's going to go one? Do you think they're going to trade down? But it's like they can't sell their fan base Will Levis again next year. There's a chance Rand Carthen, the GM, gets fired because everyone's talking about Shefty, Jay Glazer, how the owner of the Titans, they're just furious that this season went how it did, and they ended up with the worst record in the league. But hey, I'd rather end up with the worst record in the league than like the fifth worst record in the league, because now you know you have the number one pick. So I'm not going to do trades right now, but this could be a trade team. This could be if Vegas really wanted to get Shedeur Sanders, you leapfrog the Giants and you get him. This could be if the Saints wanted to make a trade or something like that, they try to go up there and take a quarterback, or maybe the Jets as well, if it's Shedeur. Because I don't think the Browns are going to draft one. Now, Deshaun Watson is going to be under contract next year, but they're going to cut him. I could view Kevin Stefanski, the new offensive coordinator, whoever they end up hiring, going more maybe the Daniel Jones route, maybe the Kirk Cousins route if he gets cut, and you're basically going to have a really good QB2, but honestly he's going to be their QB1 because I don't think Watson is that guy. I wouldn't be surprised if they enter into more of a rebuild and they trade Myles Garrett this offseason. Wouldn't be the worst idea in the world. I just don't think they're taking like a Dylan Gabriel. I'm not a big fan of Jalen Murrow. Oh my God, not this high. And then there is Shedeur Sanders, obviously, who has a lot of hype to him. So I think they go Travis Hunter. I think you could play him obviously at receiver or corner. It's TBD to see where he's going to play in the National Football League. If I had a bet right now, I think they trade down, and I think somebody trades up for Shedeur, even though I'm not a fan of Shedeur at number 2. It's going to be interesting to see if GMs feel the same way, but I'm going to have them go Travis Hunter. Whoever their next quarterback is going to be, they're going to have Jerry Jeudy, Travis Hunter, Cedric Tillman, not the worst options in the world, and you're building a foundation with Jerry Jeudy, who had a Pro Bowl caliber season, and you're going to have Travis Hunter as your next kind of receiving targets for that quarterback. So yeah, I don't think Shedeur is going to go 2, at least not to Cleveland. And that leaves the Giants at number 3. God, do I not like them taking Shedeur either. Joe Shane and Brian Daboll, they have to take a quarterback. They do. They're probably going to stay as the Giants general manager and head coach, but they can't go into next year's season with Drew Lock or just another random quarterback. Is it going to be Justin Fields? Is it going to be Derek Carr if he ends up getting cut? No, I don't think they can do that. So I think they're going to get Shedeur Sanders to the Big Apple. I mentioned Eli before with how he didn't want to go to the Chargers, and then he ends up going to the Giants, and hey, he did win 2 Super Bowls there. He's also up to make the Hall of Fame. I think the Giants go Shedeur Sanders. I don't know if he makes it to 3. I don't even know like what the general consensus is, but I feel like just the need for a quarterback in that QB tax that they're fighting for their jobs. Does Joe Shane care if Shedeur Sanders is a bust? I mean, yeah, he'd like for him to be good and he keeps his job for a long time, but if Shedeur Sanders is a bust, he was getting fired anyway. So they really got to take a home run pick here. And I think that's what they're going to do at number 3. And the Giants are going to get Shedeur. So Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders, the first 3 picks, back-to-back Colorado Buffaloes. Very interesting start to this draft. So I think the Pats, who were maybe pretty upset that they ended up losing, like they could have gone Travis Hunter, they could have gone maybe a haul for a team that wanted Cam Ward, because I think the haul to go up and get Cam Ward, to go up and get Shedeur Sanders, obviously maybe a full first-round pick or a full second-round pick difference. So they maybe lost out on that, but I think the way that this draft falls, it stinks you lose out on Travis Hunter, but you have 2 really good options in Mason Graham and Tet McMillan. And I think they go Tet McMillan. I think they get arguably the best receiver in this class if you think he's better than Hunter. Either way, he could be a legitimate wide receiver 1 in this league. He's very quick, very agile, very strong, can go up, beautiful catch in traffic, and it's just a big body target for Drake May next year, who has some good weapons, but no true wide receiver 1. And I know the Bengals are going to do everything they can to keep T. Higgins. Is Chris Godwin really going to be your guy? I don't know. I think either way, you got to get another receiver here to help out Drake May, your hopeful franchise quarterback. All right, so we're on the clock here with the Jaguars at number 5. I don't know if they would maybe go Abdul Carter. He's been playing out of his mind in the college football playoffs. Would they go Mason Graham as well and just get the best player available? Because they're going to most likely get a new head coach. And I know they could use a safety, but I think this is a little high for Malachi Starks, who I think has been up and down over the last couple of weeks. I don't know if they end up going Will Johnson. I know they could use a corner. So I think if you're going need, I think you go Will Campbell out of LSU to protect Trevor Lawrence, and you just go offensive line and just take the best guy you think that's available there. Either you think it's Kelvin Banks, Josh Simmons, Will Campbell, one of those guys, or do you just go best defensive player? And I think either way, I don't know, man. Mason Graham, I feel like might be too good to pass up on. Like, he is really freaking good, and I don't know if he makes it. Like, he's definitely not making it past the Jets, but the Jets and the Raiders both need quarterbacks too. So I think I'm going to have them go best player available. Maybe not the biggest need in the world for Jacksonville, but you're getting just kind of a stud there out of Michigan, and I think you go best player available. I could also see the appeal for a tackle. Now, for the Raiders, I mean, they went Tyree Wilson in 2023. Maybe not the best pick in the world. You ended up going Brock Bowers last year. That's looking like one of the best picks in the world. So there's no quarterback that you're taking here at 6. That's why, I felt bad. The Raiders kept winning games toward the end, and there's no quarterback, ones that declared or even haven't declared, that I would think about here. I would not even think about Drew Aller here if he ended up declaring. I think this is way too high for that. I think you think about Will Howard or Milroe in the 2nd round or 3rd rounds, but this is way too high. So I think you try to go best player available too. So I think you can go Abdul Carter, just get another good edge rusher. I don't know if you want to do that with kind of who you got right now. You drafted Tyree Wilson in 23. You have Max Crosby. I know there was rumors they could trade him. Maybe you go Will Johnson. And I think I'm going to have them go Will Johnson here at number 6. Get a good corner. I mean, that secondary has been rough for quite some time. So that's kind of more of a position of need than best player available. So we had back-to-back Colorado Buffaloes and then back-to-back Michigan Wolverines. So the Jets at 7 is tough because they need a quarterback too. What team is Aaron Rodgers going to be on next year? Is he going to be on the Browns? Is he going to be on the Niners? Is he going to be on the Steelers? I don't know. The Jets don't really need, I think, to touch skill position guys outside of quarterback. Could they use another corner with DJ Reed being a free agent? 100%. I don't know if there's another corner I would take this high. Probably not. You're not taking Ashton Dutchy here. I think you maybe just go Abdul Carter. The Hassan Reddick thing was a disaster this year, and I know that's been disappointing. And I think just looking at all these guys, maybe you go Kelvin Banks because the offensive line also hasn't been great. Maybe you go Will Campbell here to protect who your next quarterback is going to be. But I think I'm going to have them go Abdul Carter here and just get best player available. Best edge rusher here. I don't know if Devontae Adams is going to be on this team next year, but you got Breece Hall. You got Garrett Wilson. You go with that going forward. There's no receiver I would think about here. Luther Burden, kind of high at 7. I just wish there was more quarterbacks in this draft. I really do. So the Panthers on the clock at number 8. And this defense was rough last year for sure. I also don't hate the idea of just going offensive tackle, ensuring Bryce Young's health and safety for the future because he looks like he's your franchise guy. But this defense is rough. So I think you either go Jalen Walker or you go Nick Scorton from A&M. And I kind of like Jalen Walker here. I really like what I've seen from him out of Georgia, especially just playing on the big stage in the college football playoffs. I don't know. I think this is kind of high for Malachi Starks the way he's been playing. So I'm going to have them take the Bulldog there at number 8. Saints at number 9, I think this is where we could see some offensive linemen go, for sure. I have no idea who their quarterback's going to be. Are they going to cut Derek Carr? They're going to trade Derek Carr? They need to clear up like a decent amount of money. And I think in order to do so, they're going to have to cut, it might be Kamara, but it's going to have to be like Cameron Jordan, DeMario Davis. It's going to have to, I think, be Derek Carr, which is insane. So I'm going to have them go Will Campbell, get a good offensive lineman. Could be your offensive lineman 1 in this draft, and you protect whoever your next guy is going to be. Is it going to be a Fields? Is it going to be a Kirk Cousins? I don't know, man. There's going to be so many, I think, changing quarterbacks this offseason because of how weak this quarterback draft is in terms of depth. So we're on the clock here at 10 for the Bears. I think they got to protect Caleb Williams as well. I think you go Kelvin Banks. I think you either go Banks or Campbell, who you like more, whoever falls to you. I think there's a good chance at least one of those two is going to be there. I think we're going to see a lot of defensive guys and probably 2 quarterbacks there in the top 10. So we're on the clock here with the Niners at 11. And I think this is a team that could also improve their defense or offensive line. I think if Campbell or Banks were there, they could have went that route. They could look at Josh Simmons. They could look at Cam Williams. They could end up looking at some of those interior offensive linemen as well. Dre Greenwall's a free agent. Hufanga's a free agent as well. Do they want to go Starks? But they got Mustafa this year. So I'm going to have them go, I think I'm going to have them go defense. And I think I'm going to have them take the Georgia edge rusher, Michael Williams, him and I think Walker have been really good so far in the college football playoffs. Obviously, Georgia is done, but it's not because of their defense. It was kind of more Carson Beck going down and their offense being kind of lackluster. I'm going back and forth like the Jalen Walker pick. Is that kind of high for that position? Maybe. And then maybe they just go Michael Williams there, and then maybe you have Jalen Walker go there. So Cowboys at 12. I got to do it, man. I got to do it. Ashton Genty, the number 1 running back in the country. This seems like the Jerry Jones pick. Somebody asked, like a reporter asked Jerry Jones, oh, do you think you'll ever maybe give up trying to be the GM of this team? And he goes, no. He goes, I bought this team not for like my kids, not for the money, or like maybe for the money, but because I want to like do what I want to do here. I would hate to hear that as a Cowboys fan. I really would. That would piss me off so much. As he's getting older and older, and maybe they're not going to make the right decisions until he's no longer being the top decision maker over there. So, yeah, I think they go Ashton Genty, though. They're going to have CeeDee Lamb and Dak fully healthy next year. They're going to hopefully improve the offensive line and the defense, but I wouldn't do this, but this is a mock draft, and this is what I think they would do, and Ashton Genty was the best running back in the country. You can make an argument he was the best player in the country. Obviously, it's not the biggest position of need, but I think Rico Dowdle's fine. I think you go in the offseason, maybe sign somebody else. Maybe you draft a Marion Hampton in day 2, or maybe you draft Cam Scatterbo at day 2, which would be fun, or Caleb Johnson, Devin Neal, some really fun options. But I think that's what they're going to end up doing at 12 and take Ashton Genty. It feels too obvious. So we're on the clock here at 13 for the Dolphins. Do they draft a receiver? Are they trading Tyreek Hill? Tyreek Hill basically just said, like, thanks, Miami. Like, I'm done. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for the 2 years here. I don't know. Then maybe they go receiver. But I think with Javon Holland being a free agent and Jordan Poyer being a free agent as well, I think this could be where Malachi Starks goes in that range as the top safety off the board. Colts here at 14. I mocked this, I think, my last time, and I love it. I would love if he went to my Steelers, but maybe one Penn State tight end is enough in Pat Freiermuth. But yeah, Tyler Warren, this dude is an absolute stud. I don't think he's as good as a prospect as Brock Bowers, no, but he is probably in that next tier of guys that you were seeing that could be multiple dual threat tight ends. They could block well, they could receive well, and they could run very well. And I think that would be a good option. And you're really completing this offense. You have a good running back in JT. You have good receivers. I mean, Pittman had a down year, but you have Adonai Mitchell. You still have Pittman. You have Downs. You have Alec Pierce, and you're going to get someone that could be a tight end 1 in the future. Just got to figure out quarterback. You're now giving Anthony Richardson a ton of options, and I think that's what Chris Ballard and Shane Steichen need to focus on next year. Falcons at 15, disappointing year. You draft Penix, you signed Cousins last year, you trade for Matthew Judon, and you don't make the playoffs. I think they probably have to look at edge rusher or just defense overall. I think Nick Scorton here from A&M. Kind of an obvious pick or something like around that need on defense. So here we are on the Cardinals. Weird year for them, man. Like, defense kind of outplayed the offense at times. Like you have Kyler Murray making a ton of money. You have James Conner and then Trey Benson. We'll see. Like, they could go another receiver here. I think they do need to improve the offensive line And I think next up, I kind of like Ariante Ursuri. I've heard Cardinals, maybe reporters say they like him a ton, and I think that could be a position of need at offensive tackle. Bengals here at 17. Do they draft maybe the T. Higgins replacement? I don't know. Maybe they end up tagging him again. Maybe they re-sign him. They did draft Jermaine Burton high last year, and that was a disaster this year with off-the-field stuff. Andre Yoshavash could be somebody that steps up. Maybe they go somebody like on a lower tier scale, and they really invest on defense because their defense was bad this year. So maybe you go Kenneth Grant out of Michigan. That's probably the likely choice. Just get another Michigan defensive lineman. Man, this was like a retool year for Michigan, and they still had 3 first-round picks in this mock, at least in Graham, Will Johnson, and Kenneth Grant. And they're like Colston Loveland, probably going to be a first-rounder as well. Kind of impressive what Michigan did. Like, they're going to be good next year. We'll see how, like, Bryce Underwood is over there. I think we could also go tackle for the Seattle Seahawks, protect whoever their next quarterback is going to be. Is it going to be Geno Smith? Are they going to move on from him in the offseason? I think either way, we'll get Josh Simmons out of Ohio State. Houston at 19. I don't think I'm going to have them take a running back. I think this could be also, like, a team that, I don't know, man. They were a little bit disappointing this year. Maybe not even a little bit, like a lot of disappointing, especially if they get bounced in round 1. And I think this is where I'm going to have my first interior offensive lineman off the board. I don't even know where PFF has them ranked, but I'm going to have them go Tyler Booker out of Alabama, who I think is going to be the top, like, interior guy, and they could look to improve the inside of that offensive line. So here we go at 20, kind of low where I think this guy is going to go. Probably going to go, I think, maybe a little bit higher on draft night. We'll see. James Pierce, especially if he kills the combine and the workouts out of Tennessee. Get Tampa Bay an edge rusher. Tight end of need, Cade Otton? Not really sure about that unless they don't bring him back. I don't really agree with that, but I am going to have Denver get a tight end. I think they could go receiver too. I don't know. Like, I like the idea of Colston Loveland here, but I got Luther Burden on the board. I got Emeka Egbuka on the board. I'm going to have them go tight end and Colston Loveland. Like, this could be more of a Sean Payton pick, help out with the run game. This is a team that I don't know if they would take a running back at 21 like a Marion Hampton, but it could be an idea. It's because they could definitely use a running back. I think I mentioned that in my last mock too. So I'm going to have them go Colston Loveland there out of Michigan. On the clock, Steelers at 22. A lot of holes, right? Like, they could go quarterback. Probably not. There's nobody here that I think they take. They're probably going to re-sign Russ. Woohoo! Like, Tomlin exceeds expectations, and then they get bounced in round 1 of the playoffs. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. This offense, the skill positions, brutal right now. George Pickens has not really lived up to a wide receiver 1 this year. At best, wide receiver 2. And with all the character issues, is that even worth it? Then you have Van Jefferson, Calvin Austin, Ben Skoranek, Scotty Miller was catching passes this year. Mike Williams made a nice player too. Najee's a free agent. Maybe I mean, I would not take a running back in round 1. I would not. I'm probably going to go with Luther Burden. Maybe at a down year compared to what his expectations were. Could have maybe been a wide receiver 1. This year's draft class as a whole for skill position guys, outside of running backs, feels kind of down compared to last year. Because last year, I mean, it had Brock Bowers at tight end. That was kind of it. But the receiving class seemed generational looking at it now as a whole. And the quarterback class was super deep. This year, not as much. Here at 23 for the Rams, shout out to their 2024 draft. They had one of the best draft classes out of anybody there, especially with what they were dealt. I think I'm going to have them go offensive line, Wyatt Millum from West Virginia, protect Stafford next year, wherever their guy is. I feel like I'm going to be mentioning that a bunch. We have the Packers at 24. I think they could also go offensive line, and I'm going to have them go Cameron Williams. Let's protect Jordan Love going forward. I think let's get these positions of need. So 25, this would have been like, I think, a fun Colston Loveland pick, and maybe Sean Payton's going to do some mind games there because, yeah, Jim Harbaugh, Michigan could have been connected there. So that could have obviously been somebody they end up taking. I don't mind them going like Emeka Egbuka if they really like him, just because, like Quinn Johnson, who had a crazy week 18. I don't know if he's the guy for them going forward. Probably not, but he was a first round pick. But Ladd McConkey looks legit. You know what? I don't know. This is a fun pick, but I know they want to pound the rock, and I know they could go offensive line just to shore that up a little bit more. Let's go to Marion Hampton. He's my running back 2 in this class, and I think with J.K. Dobbins being a free agent, he could be a legit running back 1 in that offense in LA, and you're going to give Herbert a good running back. So we're on the clock here with the Washington Commanders at pick 26. I think they could go corner. I like Benjamin Morrison, kind of a little bit late for him to go in this mock. Ravens at 27. They could go offensive line. They could go corner as well, but they took Nate Wiggins. You have Hamilton. You have Marlon Humphrey, who was fantastic this year. I think they could end up going with some offensive line help. I don't think it was perfect this year. I think Gray Zabel from North Dakota State is another guy that could get some round 1 buzz. Eagles at 28, what do they need? Maybe another wide receiver option. Maybe the rich get richer there with Emeka Egbuka. Maybe they end up going an offensive line spot just for depth purpose because you can never have enough offensive linemen. Zach Bond, I believe, is a free agent this year, so maybe they're going to look to address that position. But I think I'm going to have them go edge rusher, and I'm going to have them get Shamar Stewart out of A&M. So we got 4 picks left here. We got the Bills, Vikings, Lions, and the Chiefs. So for the Bills at 29, I don't mind them going another receiver. Honestly, like, just get another weapon for Josh Allen, but they didn't really need one this year, and the offense was still one of the best in the league, so maybe they don't end up going one there. Maybe they end up going something more on the defensive line, and I'm going to have them go Walter Nolan there out of Ole Miss. So Minnesota at 30, I think could have been another fun Omarion Hampton team, and that may be a little bit more realistic with Aaron Jones being a free agent. And I do wonder if they're going to lose Brian Flores to a head coaching position because of how good he did last year, or this year, I should say. So I'm gonna have them go Trey Amos there, get a good corner out of Mississippi, or excuse me, Ole Miss. And funny enough, I back-to-back Ole Miss picks there. 31, the Lions. Man, what do they need, right? Like, where could they go here? I think they can go Landon Jackson. I think he's a first-round player out of Arkansas. And lastly, the Chiefs. I mean, with Egbuka there, is he gonna go here to the Chiefs? I think so. I think this is kind of low. I think it's going to be a first-round pick, and why not? Let's get the Chiefs another receiver. They took Worthy last year. You have Travis Kelce getting up there in age, and then obviously you have Rashee Rice, but there's the suspension and injury, so I think they're just going to go with that home run pick right there. So that is going to be my 2025 first-round mock draft after the regular season just ended. I'll do another one throughout the playoffs as well, maybe at the end of the college football season. And if you guys did enjoy this, I'd appreciate you dropping a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of this, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.